How you doing? YouTube, we'll go old school for this one because I screwed up. Homebrew stuff. You know what helps when you do homebrew reviews? If you hit record on your video. I literally just took my first sip of this and realized I wasn't recording, so we're going to start from here. This is a Colonel Side Hustle. This is from Mike and Joe from Illinois. This is a Kentucky Common Ale. They give the whole description of the Kentucky Common Ale on there. If you would like to read, you can do that. I'm going to skip ahead for the sake of time and just say we got a malt bill, malt forward beer here. It's a 2-row flaked corn, Crystal 80, Caraminic 2, chocolate, Carafa Special 3, and Crystal 60, Cluster and Zaza hops, and Chico is the yeast. Label-wise, I love it. Beer-wise, I've done this already, just didn't realize the camera wasn't rolling. Looks a little darker than what I expect from a Kentucky Common. I gotta sit here and say I'm an expert in anything. But, I haven't had a ton of Kentucky Commons. I've had a decent amount. It's been a while. It's probably been over a year since I've had one, maybe. But they usually look a little bit lighter than this to me. But, again, homebrewers typically are spot on when it comes to their SRM and stuff like that. So they're probably right. This guy's probably not thinking correctly. And, has a nice soft carbonation to it. Nothing too crazy, nothing overly aggressive. And it looks very rich. Very much Baki-like in visual. On the nose, very much Baki-like in the nose, too. These rich kind of... I like my box, and I know we're talking about a Kentucky Common here, but that's where this one kind of lands for me as far as aromatics and visuals so far. It's like a brown... Think of like almost like pumpernickel-y brownie bread, except you're using a bit more, if not just caramel as the sweetener, as the sugar in there, as opposed to just straight sugar, even like a brown sugar. It's more of like a caramelized kind of vibe to it. So it's a soft, toasty brown breadiness with a nice kind of caramel vibe to it. A little bit of floral hops. They kind of talk about that on the label there also. But soft little floral hops, but really just a malt forward beer that heavily leans into that kind of brown bready caramel kind of portion of the show. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. The hops here are actually pretty decent. There's a nice little floralness to it, but there's also a bittering to it. Nothing hyper aggressive, but it's not the number one player. I should probably talk about the malt portion of the show because that is definitely a number one player, but I'm a bit surprised at the hop being that present. Again, it's not a hoppy beer, but it's a bit more present than I thought it would be. Really leaning heavily into the malts here. I'm actually getting a decent amount of chocolate off of this. Didn't really get that kind of precursor to that chocolate taste in the nose, but I'm actually getting it in the taste. But again, we're sticking to this brown bed portion of the show. We're sticking to this nice, rich caramel brown bed that maybe has a little bit of cocoa dust powder kind of sprinkled throughout it to add a soft little chocolatey vibe to it. Chocolate malts are working overtime here. And then it's balanced off by that nice hoppiness. Again, I talked about a Bach coloring. I talked about a Bach aromatic. It's kind of got Bach vibes in the taste, too. I know we're dealing with an ale versus a lager here, but it drinks very much like a Bach to me. And with that chocolate coming out, not like aggressively. It's not like the leader in the clubhouse as far as flavors, but it's definitely there. I'm kind of getting old school chocolate Bach vibes, Boston Beer Company, Sam Adams. Chocolate Bach is probably one of my favorite Bachs of all time, and that's where this one kind of floats for me, kind of flutters for me, kind of rings towards that memory of that beer in a very, very fun way. To me, it's not what I'm not a BJCP nerd. It's been a while since I had a Kentucky Common, even though I had a bunch of them. It definitely comes off a bit more showy than a Kentucky Common Ale for me. They tend to be a little bit more like... Kentucky Commons tend to be more like shilling ales, British-style shilling ales. And this, with the hop presence that's there, well, not hyper-aggressive, is definitely present. And that caramel leaning into that chocolate. It just has a little bit more dessertiness for me to be kind of what I would associate with the Kentucky Common Ale. Again, like I said, I could be totally wrong. Those could be flavor profiles that are common to that kind of beer. But for me, it's very much more like Baki / chocolate Baki kind of vibes to it. The one thing that's not mistakable here is it's delicious. This is beer number 3 out of 5 from Joe and Mike, or Mike and Joe. I'm not sure which way they want to cut that one. Man, the first one was absolutely fantastic. Jet Pills. The barley wine was nice. I liked it quite a bit. There was a little bit more to it. I thought there could be a little bit more to the barley one, but I dug it. It was 10%, so it was just eking in double digits. Coming back to this one, this is very, very tasty. It's almost like, is it one of the better Kentucky Commons I've had as late? It almost like defaults to yes, because it's so much flavorful than what I typically have had from a Kentucky Common Ale. I almost want to associate with just a single bock, even my bock kind of beer. In that sense, it's really, really tasty too. Nothing as far as off flavors here. Really vibrant, really delicious, really tasty. It's just, if you're doing the whole BJCP thing, I think it's just a bit out of style for me. But what is not out of style is tasty beers, and this is absolutely 100% tasty beer. Yeah, I dig it. Volumetric and malts, flavor-wise, those hops show quite prettily, and drinks like a dream. Ain't gonna argue. Tasty bad. Whether it's Kentucky Common or not, that's up for debate, I guess. But in the grand scheme of things, if you slap a low ABV chocolate bock label on here, I'm buying this by the sixer. Let's put it that way, because it's one of my favorite styles. You don't get it much. I mean, I've had them from smaller breweries, but Sam Adams was the jam when it comes to that, and they brought it back, but the old school 750s were my joint. You probably can't see. I got an old school chocolate bock badge on my, like there used to be a pewter peel off kind of metallic badge on the old school ones. I got it on my fridge there. That's been on every beer fridge I've ever owned. But yeah, tasty stuff. Homebrew. That's what we're posting on Wednesday. We can post it whenever we want. I'm not going to do Homebrew Wednesday or whatever. So yeah, another Homebrew review in the books. Hopefully you enjoyed. Check Mike and Joe out. I'll link to their Instagrams and stuff down in the comment section, not the comment section, the info section below. And yeah, if you ever want to shoot off some homebrew, reach out to me, matt@massbeers.com. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you enjoyed a little homebrew right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.